I just kind of have a question. Like when it comes to relationships,
Yeah.
would you, if your significant other cheated on you, would you take them back?
Ooh, that's tough. I feel like yeah. Go ahead, everybody, get they drink on real quick.
I ain't looking for no handouts to say no. Always stack high, stay low. Tryna level up, better get with us. Gotta keep it real, cause you know it's about to get real uncomfortable. Yeah, real and uncomfortable. It's about to get real uncomfortable. Yeah, real and
So
uncomfortable.
I think that it all has to do with timing and context. Context matters.
I think there's so obviously I've been through this. I feel like every woman, every man has dealt with somebody
People
who's
have their
done
moments.
something.
They've had
Yeah,
their moments.
exactly.
Never been cheated on, but go ahead.
That you know of.
Damn! You gonna that on it? God damn!
He ain't gonna sleep right tonight.
Right, you gonna be thinking back like you gonna call him. Hey, yeah, no. I know. We ended like 3 years ago. Just tell me, was it? Nah, I'm playing.
What I will say is this: there are times when you want to take someone back and you shouldn't. So I was in a relationship and the person cheated on me. And this person, this was my first love. This was somebody I lived with. And I wanted to forgive him, but for all the wrong reasons. I wanted to maintain him. I wanted to keep him as mine.
Property.
Yes. And so instead of healing from what he did and actually understanding that there was something wrong with our relationship, which is why cheating even entered into it, because before that was not a thing. You know, it's one thing if somebody is like this before and you know.
So you basically you identified and understood a change in the person.
Yes, I understood that we had both changed. There was something wrong. But because I wasn't ready to address that, because I was just worried about keeping him to myself, that then became a thing, and it was bad. I tried to forgive him and it did not work out. I tried to keep him with me in a relationship and it did not work out. And it was to the point where, at least maybe on his end, I don't know that this man can stand me. I feel like I'm maybe one of those stories that you know, those crazy ex stories. But honestly, I was just hurt.
So the jumping in the parking lot, that's not something new or nothing.
You getting jumped in the parking lot will be something very new. He wants the smoke. Yeah. If I jump him in the parking lot, it'll be something completely new for me, because not even my ex who cheated could get that out of me. But
jeez.
Yeah, exactly. Jeez. But anyway, yeah, I think when it comes to that, if you are with somebody who cheats and you want to forgive them, you have to be ready to wholeheartedly forgive them.
Yeah, don't halfway it.
You have to be ready to let that go and let that be a part of the past. Otherwise, it will hinder your relationship for the rest of the duration, and it will leave you not at peace with yourself. It's not just a like, okay, I'm giving this person a hard time. No, you're going to give that person a hard time. They're going to leave, and then you're going to be stuck with that hardship in your heart and trying to figure out how to get past it, but on your own.
In my experiences, right, I guess, like you said you identified a change in that person. In moments where I've had partners to kind of stray, I think over time I've been able to kind of backtrack and figure out, like, yeah, you kind of grew as a person. I don't know, like, growth comes in a lot of different ways. So, like, it's not necessarily like we think of growth as progress and moving towards goals and maturity and everything else like that. But growth is really just development. And that could be the development of bad habits, good habits, or just, you know, maybe a discovering of something within self, right? And understanding that, and that they moved at a certain pace or in a certain direction that I wasn't moving in the same, at least at the same pace. You have to understand that. I think we had a conversation earlier in which we discussed whether or not somebody can provide something to their partner that, you know, is expected of them, right? And most cheating happens because somebody is providing something to your partner that you are not. It's a fucked up thought.
Most. Let's say most.
Most.
Not
all. Not all. Of course, you have some people who just do it recreationally. Some people who just, it's an ego thing,
Right.
of course. But I think the most serious cheating, or at least the cheating that can be recovered from, right? Because you can't recover from ego, right? If that's somebody's ego and they just want to be with 50 million different people, that's on them. Let them do that. But if it's somebody who truly values your relationship and you value the relationship with them, the only hope is that you guys can have open line of communications that allow you to kind of figure out what that issue was that led them to that.
But even open lines of communication does
Doesn't
not
always
guarantee
fix it. No,
that.
absolutely not.
It doesn't.
Absolutely not.
Because
Yeah.
realistically, that was the thing with me and my ex, is that
Right.
there was still the communication there, but I could not get past it.
Well, see, that's the thing. You had the betrayal, right? And the betrayal is gonna be there. The hurt is gonna be there. Now, whether it's because you're like, why couldn't you tell me that you needed X, Y, Z, and I could have done that for you or made that happen for you, versus, like you even fighting the idea that that's something that they should have even asked of you.
But that's what I'm
Because
saying.
that's
is
another
that,
issue, too.
That there's this element where when trust is lost, that's it.
Right, that's true, too.
It's pretty much gone, and it's not even under. Like, I could try to control that,
Mhm.
and that was the issue, was that I didn't see that the trust that I had in that person was completely gone, and I was going to completely drive myself crazy before I understood that I gotta let this shit go. And that's ultimately what happened, was I drove myself crazy until I understood, no, I mean, it's not them in the sense that they're not repeatedly doing this to me.
No, but they did
It's
it.
what's happened,
Yeah.
and I can't get past it.
Do you think that men and women cheat differently?
Women are
Yes and
smarter
no.
about it.
Not even just, I mean, there's logistically, like actions wise, and yes, I agree. I think women are so much smarter at cheating than men are. But I think that the way I mean it is, do you think that, what's the cliche, that women cheat kind of more with their emotions, whereas men cheat and it's physical?
98%, I'm gonna say.
Yes and no. I'm gonna say that there's always the element of something is missing.
Right.
It doesn't
I think so,
matter.
too.
Okay, not that it doesn't
Women are
matter,
more so
but-
ready to compensate for something missing emotionally, whereas men are more so willing to go after something missing.
No, I think men just go out there just because. Like, a guy can have the perfect relationship,
Okay.
perfect girl, the girl's doing everything, and he just gets tempted, and it's like, because for most guys, it's purely physical. It's literally
Right.
like,
It's almost like
for
I mean,
most
but
guys.
I will say this. Then that goes back to the ego thing, and that is the thing that most men honestly will not realize, that is a thing for women too. Before, in my much younger years, yes, I definitely cheated just because I wanted someone else, just because I felt like I enjoyed the thrill of seeing how pleased someone else was with me, versus like now that I'm a bit more mature, I'm not willing to cheat unless, and even now I'm really just not willing to cheat. It's done.
But now
We
that
over.
you almost
I'm
said it.
moving on.
You almost said it though. Yeah, I'm not willing to cheat unless, and I feel like the other women can finish that sentence and say, unless this is something that I see seriously. Right. Like, this is something that you see yourself moving on with.
No,
like,
not
a lot of
necessarily.
women-
No, not necessarily that I see myself moving on with, unless this is something that is giving me the comfort that I need for the moment. Because let's be real,
Right.
I'll be
That's a similar thing.
no, it's not, because I'll be real. If I get out of something very serious, I'm not moving on right away to something more
I
serious.
get that.
Again, I need my time.
You're right. You might need your time, but I'll say this: you're not gonna. If you walked into a fling, it would be long term. You're not gonna walk into something momentary the same way a guy is gonna walk into. Yo, I'm at the club. This bad bitch just hit me. My nigga, you see that over there? I'm going home with that. Versus a woman going and being like, this guy has been courting me. in the same way. Like he knew
I
he
think
was
I think
courting
that
me.
does happen, and I think it happens often enough. But what I will say is that not necessarily, absolutely not.
I mean,
For a lot of women, it is true. We can walk into something where this is very temporary. You're offering me something that pleases me for the moment, and I'm good now. I've seen it happen plenty of times where it's we're good, we're fucking around, and then the other person finds out, that ends, and then that they're with that person for a little bit, and then that ends because that's not what I wanted as my next permanent solution, not just what it was in the moment.
Then when in fact a woman does cheat, right, and they have a moment where it's that, let's say, the lapse of something that they're finding in a relationship, maybe it is the emotional. You're going to find somebody who meets that, right? Somebody who fills in that void.
Eventually, yeah.
Right. But I mean, I'm talking about the cheating. So there's no eventually. It's like she did that shit too soon, essentially. You have a relationship in front of you. You're still in the midst of one. So if you're going to, I guess, make that move, and then see, here's the thing about cheating, right? We always think about cheating as being the physical, right?
I was gonna tap into that next.
Yeah.
Texting is also cheating. If you with somebody, but you texted somebody else how you want them and how, you know what I'm saying? That's cheating as well.
Right. So I feel like not for nothing. Yes, women are better at cheating, but I also feel like a lot of that has to do with the fact that we view cheating is that, yes, as a guy now, in order to secure sex, there has to be a level of communication prior to that could be, by your definition, cheating as well. But I also feel like when there's those voids in relationship, if a woman wants camaraderie, she has her friends to fill that void. If a woman wants like passion in dancing, I know niggas who let their women go to dance classes and dance with their dance instructor or whatever and establish that whatever level of intimacy that is without being completely intimate. I know that there are women who look to have like somebody to shop with, somebody to do XYZ with, and men will allow their women to have a friend. And I say allow, not that you need consent, but you just don't have a problem with it. That right, you're cool with it, with your lady having that friend, male or female, who they go and do these things with. Whereas men, one of the main things that men find as being maybe needing supplemented is the idea of sexuality, right? Like what happens when things fall short in that department? As a man or as a female, you can't find somebody to tag in. You can't do that because that in and of itself is the nature at which we measure cheating. Like, so even if a woman has had like the shortcoming after shortcoming after shortcoming with their male friend, right? Their boyfriend, husband, fiance, whatever it is, they look at that person and they're like, you know, I can find the friend I can confide in. I can find the shoulder to cry on. I can find the person to watch movies with. I can go vent to my girlfriends. I have that friend who was interested in me and we could text a little bit. And they don't necessarily have to cross that line because to them, the deficit is not sexual. Right. Whereas with men, if the deficit is sexual.
But that's why I think you're wrong in certain senses because I can't supplement who I want to talk to. Yeah, I can talk to my girlfriends about anything. Yeah. But I don't think so because if I want my partner, if there's something that I want specifically from my partner, I want it from them. I'm not going.
No. But that's exactly why it leaves the opening, though. That eventually, your specific feelings, that train of thought, that I want this from my person. Right. That's what leads to the opening of cheating for most women. Whereas in a healthy relationship, those aren't issues because you're okay with not getting it from your husband. You're okay with not getting it from your fiance. You're okay with, I know that me and my husband, we go here, and here, but because he doesn't like dancing, when I want to go dancing, I go with my girlfriends and he's okay. Or my gay best friend.
But I believe that's possible for men too, then to have that deficit with having a female partner who isn't communicating openly. there are men who want to talk about certain things or who need to open up a certain way, and the woman they're with, yeah, maybe she's providing sexually, but that emotional stance, if they're going through something, if there's a depression happening there, if there's anxiety happening at work, if they're with a partner who's not, you know, advising them in this way or there for them in this way, yeah, they're definitely going to cheat emotionally too.
No. I'm not saying that men don't. I'm just saying that the cheating emotionally never gets called out as much as the cheating physically, right? Like cheating physically is that's the thing, right? Like people don't get mad. I mean, people do get mad. Like, why are you texting this person? Why? But
most girls do it with their exes. They'll text their exes, just, you know what I mean, never crossing that line, but still keeping that thing going.
Right. And not to mention that person has tread those emotional waters with you. Right. So it's familiar territory to them. They know that you've had trauma with this person back then. They knew the growth that you've had since whenever. Right. But I think that even then, most of that comes from the fear of it eventually leading to physicality, right? Like if a girl goes through your phone and they see like, oh, why are you texting this bitch, right? It's because the idea is that, are you meeting with them next? No, is this person doing da?
Now it is the exact opposite. I am less afraid of a woman who there's been a one-time slip up with than I am with a woman who's providing emotionally. If I see some sort of emotional text where it's like, hey, sweetheart, how are you doing? I am definitely way more afraid of that woman than I am of somebody who's being
you're right.
Like,
you should be.
Because then
you should
like,
be. You should be.
Holy shit. That connection is way
deeper than just
can't
just say that you just fucking,
know.
Right?
Yeah, you're not just getting the butt and that's it, and that's something I could turn around and But
so I mean, wait. But with that said, would you feel comfortable with your man talking to his exes? I know, right?
it really depends on the relationship between them. So like, if I know that it ended in a shitty way, they were never friends beforehand, they just dated, no. But I think it comes with, like I said, with context, because I dated this person who was still good friends with his ex and the ex's sibling. And the ex's sibling was actually the fiance of one of his best friends. So I had dinner with all of them one night. I met their mom and it was chill. It was just whatever. And it wasn't like they were talking on a regular basis, like they were BFFs. It was just like they still had casual, like, seeing each other type thing and not alone. Like, just like they just would bump into each other here and there.
This then. So are you guys okay with somebody keeping in touch with an ex?
Not in the casual sense. Again, like there's a difference if we're in the same circle, or even if that person was, say they were friends for years, they dated for like a month or two and they tried it and then it was like, nah, just kidding. Then I'm like, okay, whatever. That wasn't a real relationship. That wasn't something that you guys really, it was just like an experience, like, oh, let me see what's up. Versus you guys were together for like 3-4 years, you had plans, you lived together, something like that. Then I'm like, no.
Okay. What about you, E? Go ahead, man. You can be honest.
How much of that drink you got?
I'm done. Nah, I think the older I'm getting, the more I'm realizing that, I think communication is important. So as long as we're clear where we are, you're clear where you stand with your ex, and you set the right boundaries, I'm 100% cool with it. But if they're still trying to shoot their shot, or they're wishing that I slip up, or they're waiting for me to make a mistake, or every single time me and you get into an argument, you go to them or they're there,
I'll say that.
then there's a problem.
That's
Let's be
that's
clear
probably
though.
hard.
Communication and
key.
understanding. Because
Comprehension
if
is
you
key.
because if you're communicating, sometimes you're falling on deaf ears.
Right.
You need somebody who understands your communication.
Right. 100%. So to me, I would say communication, understanding,
Get off your phone.
on both sides. You get what I'm saying? As long as the communication, I get it that y'all have a past, but as long as the conversations that y'all having are not conversations that if I land on it, I'm gonna feel some type of way, I'm cool with it. Cause I don't think it's cool for y'all to be having conversations that you wouldn't feel comfortable.
But see
Right.
that's
Okay.
that's
I can
that's
see that. I can
exactly
see that.
where I agree.
Yeah.
We like I as long as you know the person and you trust the person, I can completely I'm fine with it. But and again, that's how I knew the person that I was with was cheating on me. This person and me were really close to the point where I didn't have a phone for like a month because I was waiting for this. This was a really long time ago. I was waiting for the iPhone to come out for Verizon. So I had dropped my BlackBerry. Y'all remember BBM? I had dropped my BlackBerry in the toilet.
Yo,
And
I'm sorry. Why is it just me, or do women have a thing with just destroying phones?
I mean, I always have. That was the first time that's ever
Really?
dead ass. Yeah, you can ask my sister because my sister is bad with her phone. But each one of my phones I've had for 2 years, 3 years.
All right, okay.
But that was the first time I forgot it was in my back pocket, and
And
I
you had
pulled
it
down
in-
my pants, and it fell right in the toilet.
Yep.
And for a month, I didn't have the phone because I was like, I'm saving up, and I'm gonna buy myself the iPhone. So I waited, and for a month, I was living on his phone because I didn't have a phone. So if anybody
That's
needed to
trust.
contact me, it was through his phone. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we were great. I knew all of his female friends, and I didn't give a shit.
But
He
see,
knew
that-
all of my male friends,
but honestly,
didn't give a shit.
I think the key here, right, is that in cheating, the root of cheating is always some type of unhealthy thing going on in a relationship,
Absolutely.
right? Whether even if it's one person, right?
Yeah,
even if it's
there,
one person
no,
dealing
there
with
was
some shit.
absolutely
Like-
something wrong
Mhm.
already with the both of us.
Yeah.
But I wasn't reconciling with that. And what happened was him cheating. And then after the fact, I still wasn't completely acknowledging that. I was just focused on maintaining
Right. So
the image.
let me ask you
Hold
this,
on.
right? So we're talking a lot about the problem, right? The problem is cheating. Like, and we know we've identified what the root is. Sometimes it's like missing some type of thing.
I feel like
But
the
what-
effect, that's what the effect is, but the cause is something else. Like
No,
the
no.
cause is something, like cheating is the effect.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
But the cause, what comes before that
Right,
is
maybe
the
I'm-
issue that we're
right,
we're
right.
not there with.
So maybe I worded that wrong. So in that note, what's the best way to communicate with a partner that this is not, or this is something that I need, or this is something that we're falling short on?
One thing that I learned is the partner has to create a safe space for that conversation.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? Because you bringing that up and they're not listening, or they get defensive or they get angry about it, that conversation is not going to go well. So if that safe space is there, then you could just bring it up to the person.
Let's also be clear though, everybody's love language is different. Every single person, the three of us sitting right here, 4 if you count John sitting back there, different love languages. Different
Elle's love language is karate.
And it's this bottle, right over your head.
I feel like you're about to make a
Right
breakthrough, guys.
over your head. But everyone's love language is different.
Yes.
Every person sees things differently. If you know your partner, then it's your job to start communicating, to open lines of communication, and to try to understand that person.
True.
If you cannot, your best bet is to back away, no matter how much it hurts. Because in the long run, you're only hurting both of you by holding on. And I think that was my biggest takeaway from what happened with me was that I held on when I should have let go for both of our sakes. It wasn't just so he could be free. It was so I could be free too. So I could stop burdening myself with what did I do? Because then that is also a thing that we tend to do. We tend to blame ourselves. And at the end of the day, yes, it is a part you, but it's also something that's wrong that you can't control.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that. I agree with that. I will say that I don't know if you necessarily touched on it, but the idea that people cheating differently is really like a thing. Do you think that that's a thing?
What do you mean cheating differently?
Like, again, like the motivation behind the cheating, the way in which people are more likely to cheat. Like I know I'm kind of dialing it back, and you like I completely agree. You got really deep on it, and again, like love languages matter, safe spaces matter, being able to communicate and then comprehend the communication is key. But to take it back to the superficial note, there's a lot of times where I see that like people attribute one like I'll say it. People slander men and say that men cheat all the time, right? I don't necessarily.
That's a cover up.
That's a cover up, right? I think women cheat better. Yes. I'm not gonna lie. I think women cheat better. I think I'm a pretty smart nigga, but I know there's a lot of niggas who ain't that smart. So, you know, when it comes to shit like that.
Yeah, I'll say this. People cheat. This is not a gender bias thing. This is one of those things where people cheat.
Let me give this might be completely off, but have you ever seen the TV show with Joey Greco or whatever that name is, MSNBC, To Catch a Predator?
Yes.
Why do you think that there's never in the history of To Catch a Predator been a female on there?
I'll tell you this much, right? I while I do think females cheat better, I always say this. Men are more comfortable being side niggas than women are being side chicks.
But so you're saying saying this in the expressive that you believe that women cheat more. I don't.
I feel like women are more discreet about their cheating.
Yes, I believe so. But if I say that people cheat, that is a people phenomena. There is no that men or women cheat more.
I feel like you tiptoeing around the subject because I feel like you got a point that women cheat more discreetly. But again, like it's different when she calls up Tyrone and Tyrone knows his role, right? Like it's different than when you call or somebody calls up whoever and that lady has dreams of being more than just the call up at 3 a.m. If that right there, I've seen many women, like even there's songs about it. Hey, I'm coming to you as a woman. There's no nigga coming to another nigga as a man.
I don't think so. Cause I definitely got caught out there, and it was
because man blew up the situation.
He blew it up.
He blew it.
How did he blow it up?
What was you doing to son?
No, I just know I got caught out there on Union Square.
But wait.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, we need like some type of context, some type.
This was a long time ago. We're talking high school.
I'm a different element.
But I was dating two guys at once, and not necessarily intentionally, because one of them I really wanted to get rid of, but I just couldn't. Like, I didn't know how to do it. I wasn't good at like breaking up per se.
Yeah.
And that person had communication with this other person, and one day I met up with them on Union Square. Oh. And ironically enough, with the full intention of breaking things off, and then the other guy like tapped me on my shoulder. And
they say,
I was like, I gotta go.
You lucky they didn't world star you and record it, because I've seen a lot of videos like that where like
when I was in high school, there wasn't any.
You see the one where dude I think proposed, or he fake proposed to shorty
at work.
Nah,
there was one at work.
It was one at work. I didn't see that one.
I think he fake proposed, and then the other dude walked in, and she was like, yeah.
Shit.
Well, thankfully, when I was in high school, which was in the early 2000s,
social media,
it wasn't like that.
You might have went viral.
There wasn't anything like that.
You would have been on World Star.
There was no, but again, like I said, I think we tend to put gender biases on this because
No, it's
because
social media.
because
it's always
yeah,
out there. It's
exactly,
out there.
and because
It's out there.
these are the common things we see. Just like, all right, if we bring it right back to polyamory, these are the common, dominant things that we see. These are the roles we see in front of us. But behind closed doors, it's really not that different. It's really
No,
the same.
I think there's factors. I think there's factors.
I agree with you in the sense that men and women both cheat.
Yes.
That
Yes,
we put in.
absolutely. I don't think
But
one cheats more
I
than
have
the
to stand on my women are way more savy and discreet about it.
other. I don't even.
Y'all are FBI about it.
I don't
I
think
think
that
that
women
they're
aren't.
better
I'm
at
not
finding
saying
it.
that. But what I am saying is that it still happens with the same frequency that it happens with men.
Okay.
It's still like
Okay.
they're both like
Okay.
honestly, you're seeing men cheat just as often as women cheat. Women cheat just as often as men cheat. There's no like you can't say women cheat more.
I won't argue that, but I will again.
discussion.
I will say this though, E.
While I do gotta attribute it a little bit to the savvy part, I don't think it's necessarily just the savvy of hiding. No, I think it's the savvy of looking. I think that women are better at looking for their male friends cheating, their boyfriends and fiancés and husbands cheating. I don't think men are as good as detectives as women in finding that out.
Too, instinctually,
Okay.
when it turns to like intuition,
Mm-hmm.
women are better with intuition. That comes in all forms. That comes with me now being a mother, knowing that it's that way too with motherhood. It's that way in every aspect. When my ex cheated, I didn't know because he was acting all sort of funny. No, he literally one night fucked some other broad, and the night that he did it, I knew. The night that he came home, I knew. I felt it. And I used to think my sister was lying. My sister used to always say whenever her ex cheated, she used to have a dream about it. When I tell you that my
Don't say that. Don't start that shit.
No.
Because
I've had girls get mad at me because they had dreams that I got with their friends, and I'm like, fam, I don't even talk to your friend.
No. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Take it back a second. I'm not saying that is always 1,000% accurate. But what I'm saying is that certain people's intuition is stronger than
100%.
others.
Women.
Empaths exist. Those
Yes.
are real
No.
things.
Absolutely.
So people
Absolutely.
who are absolutely in touch with their
Mhm.
empathy and not just their insecurity, because
Right.
you're talking about people who are in
Insecurity.
touch with their
Yes.
insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about my sister is a very powerful empath, and I am that way too, but I'm not always that good with it. But the night that my ex cheated, I swear to God, I woke up feeling like an elephant was sitting on my chest. And as soon as he walked through the door and hugged me, I knew. And I felt it. And then I went on a trip to Cuba with my sister not so long ago. And I met this guy, he's a babalao, which in their culture is like a reader, somebody who speaks to the energies, outside, the entities that are outside of us. And he told me my dreams are powerful. And this man met me way after the fact. This is years later. I'm meeting this man 8-9 years after that situation happened to me, and he's telling me that. So I know what I felt was right, and not only that, but I got the confirmation that night. I knew the minute he was denying it, calling me all sorts of names, saying I was bugged out, crazy, whatever. I was like, all right, go ahead, go to sleep. He went to sleep. As soon as he went to sleep, now I don't agree with this. I don't condone doing this always, but I knew, and that man was sleeping in my bed. This was my bed, my apartment. So I went to his phone, went through, and he was sly. Google Voice. Google Voice is what he used. I found it, and I said, okay. Called the girl back. The girl hung up because she heard my voice immediately. I called her again. I was like, listen, sweetheart, don't hang up. I don't have no problem with you. I don't know you. You don't owe me anything. You don't know me. No loyalty lost there. I'm like, just tell me what he did, because you are a female that I don't know. I know all of his female friends, and I don't know you. Who are you? And as soon as she told me, I was like, okay, hold on. Just stay on the phone with me for a second. Went right into the room.
Oh,
Bah!
Lord.
He woke up ready to, and I was like, what did y'all do again? And she was like, oh, we had sex. Okay, thank you. Hung up, and I was like, get the fuck out of my house.
Respectful.
And I started
Respectfully. Jesus.
going off.
Respectfully.
Because again, you laying in my bed with that woman's scent on you.
That's foul.
You in my bed, my apartment. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, there are, not saying that this is absolutely true, because again, there's the rule, the exception. There's always going to be that balance. I'm not saying that these are definitive things. But what I'm saying is that it is very much possible for a woman to understand her intuition enough to know when she's being played for a fool. Mm-hmm. And women, we pay attention much more deeply to these signs than men do.
Yeah. I'll give you.
I just want to say it's a very fine line between, like you said, intuition and insecurity. So don't take your insecurities and start thinking that that's intuition.
Yeah, you about to get niggas started beat up.
You about
No, listen.
But nah,
Listen,
I agree with you 100%.
Your intuition can go from
Intuition does a lot.
being good to not being so good.
Right.
Because let me tell you, after that situation, my intuition was off, way off.
Right.
And it was mostly my insecurity talking.
Right.
It took a long time for
Before
me
you could bring that back.
to bring,
that
exactly
back
to be back to that person, to understand when, you know, the divine, the universe was communicating with me versus my insecurity and my ego.
Let me ask you this.
Was that one of the attempts that you made to kind of reconcile and like get shit back together on path with that dude, or was it just over from there?
No, like a solid week later, I was trying.
You're trying.
And it was because I was, you know, anything you do for 21 days, addicting. Mm-hmm. You know, anything that is a drug, that person, you're conditioned to that person. So I was used to him. So of course my immediate response was kick him out, but then wait, bring it back. Come right back.
And I take it that wasn't one of the situations where y'all could actually communicate and be like, yo, was there something here, there, the next place? Was this something? Did this somebody offer you something that was just that?
Honestly, it was on both ends in terms of communication. He was not willing to tell me what it was, and I wasn't willing to hear that.
Right.
So no matter which way you cut it, it was gonna end. And like my only regret is that I wasn't willing to understand or listen, and that I wasn't willing to let it go when I should have.
Okay.
I should have been like, all right, let's cut things off here because I'm not good. What you did hurt me, and I am wounded beyond repair right now. And I'm only gonna deepen this wound for the both of us by trying to fix it.
So, I mean, just to wrap it up, like if you had to give advice to a young woman who's in the situation right now, what would you tell her? You know what I'm saying? You in a situation where you with a man, he's cheating on you, or he's giving you the energy that he's cheating. What advice would you?
Either be willing to understand and see where this is coming from and work through it, or let it go. Let it go even in the hardest of situations, even where it's been 10, 15, 20, 30, 65 years. Let it go if that's not what's good for you. Don't just stay there, because time isn't a thing that measures love. Time is just all we all have. It's not something that means you need to stay on a certain path because you've been on it for so long. This life is meant to be lived on multiple paths. So either learn to forgive and let it go, or learn how to fix it, communicate, understand, and move on. Move the fuck on. Don't hold on to it, because holding on is not good for anybody, including yourself.
Yeah. I think the message is there, and that's real and uncomfortable.
Now move away from me, because I'm
I ain't looking for no handouts to say no. Always stack high, stay low. Trying to level up, better get with us. Gotta keep it real, cause you know it's about to get real uncomfortable. Yeah, real and uncomfortable. It's about to get real uncomfortable. Yeah.